One, I'm Christopher Locke. I'm the IBPA Director of Membership and Member Services, and this is the Get to Know Your Member Benefits webinar series. We want to highlight all the really amazing benefits we have, and today I'm very excited. This is Ingram ID, and you all are going to really love this. There are so many cool ways you can save money on advertising direct to consumers. This is a great one. So I'm going to welcome Ingram Content Group's Manager of Consumer Products, Taylor Shelton. Hello, Taylor.
Hello. Let me share my screen really quickly, get this pulled up. Can you see the presentation?
Absolutely. So I'm going to disappear and off we go.
Hi, everybody. I am Taylor Shelton. I am the product manager for Ingram ID, which is an awesome IBPA member benefit for you guys this year. And I'm going to be talking about how you can use Ingram ID to advertise your books on Facebook, Google, and Instagram. Okay, so once again, my name is Taylor Shelton, and I am the product manager for Ingram ID. Over the past 5 years, I have specialized in paid advertising in the publishing industry, and now I oversee the development for our awesome advertising tool, Ingram ID, that helps authors and publishers use digital advertising to market their books to readers. So, as you may know, digital advertising is hard, but Ingram ID makes it easy. So you might be thinking, what is Ingram ID? Ingram ID is a one-stop shop, easy-to-use advertising platform that we have created that is targeting our audiences of over 4 million readers on Facebook, Instagram, and Google. We offer real-time analytics. And unlike the ad platforms that may be difficult to navigate or you're unsure of how those work, we have real-time analytics and no hidden costs. So what you pay up front is what you will pay for your ad, and we will never charge you more than your set budget. I'm going to do a demo in a moment so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But we have, over the past 6 years, created a handful of book lover websites and newsletter that has a database of over 4 million subscribers and growing. So we've taken all of those users and subscribers and we've narrowed them down into over 80 genre-based audiences. And those are the audiences that you will be targeting with your digital advertising. So not only have we simplified the complex nature of the digital advertising space of Meta and Google, but we're also using our verified reader audiences that we've built from first-party data for more effective ad targeting, which will help you get the most out of your ad budget. So we have millions of readers and over 80 audiences. It's just like a little sample of our top 5 most requested, our largest audiences, our newest audiences. Actually, and this was actually updated last, I think, in November. So since this time, we've actually even added a handful of audiences since then. So whatever the genre of your book may be, you will likely be able to find a target audience for that using Ingram ID. And here is a list of all of our available audiences. We have broken them down into fiction and nonfiction, and feel free to take a screenshot of this slide, or once you get set up in your Ingram ID account, all of this will be available to you for easy access. And I can show you how to do that in just a moment. Here's a little case study from a user. It's just kind of a little preview of what you're going to be seeing when we get into the platform. But J.T. Ellison, a New York Times bestselling author, has used Ingram ID, and she has shared this really wonderful stat with us that she is finding these ads very helpful, and that when she doesn't run the ads, that her sales drop in half. So just speaking a little bit to the audiences and also the quality of ads that you might be able to create with ID. So, okay, well, that was a very brief intro into what Ingram ID is, but I think it will be better to help you better understand all of our offerings. I'm going to do a demo.
So real quick, Taylor, I do want to point out, because I know that people are asking this question already. People are wondering, do you need to have your books distributed through Ingram Spark or Lightning Source to be able to use Ingram ID?
No, you do not. So that's a really great question. It does have to be a print book. So, well, actually, that's not even true. I'll show you. Let me get into the demo.
Okay, great.
So once you create an account, this is what your account dashboard is going to look like. This is an account that obviously already has had campaigns. You can see things that are currently live and scheduled, ads that have recently completed, your drafts, and then a bunch of help articles over here as well to help you get started. Should you have any additional questions?
Are you sharing that screen yet of your the demo? Just wanted to point out it's not on the screen.
I am.
Okay, so I know when oh okay, you'll
Share
just
it again.
okay, great.
Is it pulling up now?
Ah, there we go. All right, starting over.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Um, okay, so yes, as I mentioned, this is what it looks like when you log in. Sorry that was not up previously. If you create a new account, this will look slightly different because obviously you will not have any campaigns created yet, but there will be a helpful little video guide here too that would help you walk through it. And then down here are some help articles. And then additionally, if you were wanting additional resources, we have a full library of resources here under the help section of that left-hand column. Okay, so to get started with Ingram ID, you would want to create a campaign. So you can either create a campaign here or up here. I'm going to create one here. Let's see here. What is the date today? The 21st. You can name your campaign anything that you want. Hopefully it'd be something that you would remember or help you find it in the future to be able to gather all of your reporting. Okay, so there's two ways to get started here. If you are promoting a physical book, you would click this, search our database. And from here, you can enter the title, the author, or the ISBN. And by doing that, let's see here, we will pull that in. So this is a title. I'm going to click this as the title that I want to promote. Oops. Okay, so from here, if you do not have a title, if you cannot find your title, you can always put in enter book information manually, and that will just take you directly on to the next step. And I'll show you the difference that makes here once we get into it. So I'm going to go back. Okay, search our database. I'm going to add it here and then move on to the next step. The next step is the audiences. So here's where you can see all of the 80 plus audiences that we have. So this is quite a lot. So you can do this, you can filter by all services, or you can filter by the service that you want to use. So if you know that you want to do a Facebook promoted ad, you can see all of them are available. I will say most audiences are available in all 4 ads platforms, which is Instagram, Facebook, Google Search, and Google Display. The only one that has limited audiences are our promotional emails. And we have 7 of those. So for this one, I'm going to go with fiction. Let's see here. And I will just go with, Actually, I don't remember what the genre is. I'm so sorry. Let's just go with sci-fi. Okay, you can select up to 6. So for all those audiences, I would say more is not necessarily better. You want to keep it as close as possible to the genre, the BISAC categories. All of those audiences are associated with BISAC categories. So if you are doing a historical romance, I would do maybe historical fiction, romance, and historical romance, but I would not pick nonfiction or anything like that because more is not always more. One of the benefits of our audiences is that they are really targeted based off of these user activities on our sites and interactions with our email newsletters. So targeting those audiences is very specific. And if you're wanting to reach a different audience, then that would be a different scenario. But the more specific you can be, the better in this case. So for this one, it looks like all of the ad platforms are available. So I'm going to select a Facebook promoted ad, a Google, and I'll select these 3. And then I will move on. Okay, so then now we're to the ad setup portion. So to get started, you will select set up this ad platform. You'll confirm your audience. You will you can connect a Facebook page if you have an author profile page or a publisher page that you'd like this ad to be run in, basically. But if not, and it makes really no difference in terms of ad outcome, then I would just keep this is what the page, this is how the ad will appear on the platform, or an example of how it will appear. And using our Facebook page, really, like I said, makes no difference in ad performance. So from here, you can see that there are a couple situations where we can pull in your metadata. So this is where, when you enter your book at the beginning, at the very first step of the ad setup, if you do not have your title in our database, then that's no problem. This just will not be available to you because we have to use your metadata in order to pull this in. So from here, we can pull in some of this metadata. This will be the primary text. And as you see, as we start pulling, as I can type here, read the 2024 Booker Prize winner, you will see it will update over here. So you can insert your book cover if that's available. We have a very minor or very basic editing tools. So you'll probably want to change the way that this looks. You can zoom in and out. You can change the background image to be a different color if that was something that you wanted, or if you have your own copy or imagery, you can upload that here as well. And that can be, you can once again go back and change the size of this, but I've created this for now. And this would be an example of a really simple but effective ad image that I just created in Canva. So I would take advantage of those free offerings from Canva if that is something that you are interested in. So from here, the next step is a URL. So I would go to, from here, I will add a URL. Oh no. My recommendation for a URL would be sending someone directly where they can buy the book. So this is just a best practice in any sort of digital advertising that you're doing. The less clicks that a user has to take to buy your book, the more likely you are to convert that into a sale. So for For this, we could send them, we'll send them to Bookshop to buy the book. Oops. Something of note also here is that you can't use a shortened URL, so no bit.lys, no tiny links. If you're sending someone to Amazon, not the a.co, the ad platforms will reject that because they have to do extra work to make sure that the link that you're providing is legitimate. So go ahead and use the full link for the full URL for that. And from here, you can also add your headline, and that is pulling in from the metadata that was been provided. You can add another description. So I might just take something else from your metadata or a little description. And as you can see, as I'm entering the stuff, entering the information, you can see this is live updating the preview of how the ad might work. Another great feature that Ingram ID has to offer is this custom buy now button. If you create an ad on Meta right now, that's not available. This is something that is unique to Ingram ID. So buy now will be the button, but if you're wanting to promote something else, you can also use any of these options. But I'm going to do buy now.
Aaron, Taylor, can I ask a question that is specifically to that one moment? So, that primary text section, some people are wondering, hey, I know you have the website URL and that other section. Are they allowed to, or do you recommend that they add any other type of URL in the primary text? For example,
no.
Okay.
So primary text, you cannot click. It will not be it will not be clickable. So if I just type a URL, for example, into here, a user would have to copy and paste that, and that's just not intuitive to anybody on social media. It's kind of like if you create, I'm not sure how familiar people are with Instagram, but if you're like scrolling through Instagram and you're reading a caption, you can't click on their links in the caption. You have to click. So it's not going to be, the primary text is only going to be text. It's not going to be like a click out link, because whatever Meta or Google are doing, they can't recognize that that's a URL. So you'll only want to use one URL, and you'll want to put it here, and that will be associated with the call to action down here.
Okay. And then people are wondering if you can use an Amazon attribute link.
Yeah, you can definitely use an Amazon attribute link. Just use the full URL, and that is available. Amazon wants to always shorten their links, but for advertising purposes, these ad platforms don't like that because it takes them another step to verify that the link is going somewhere legitimate. And so instead of going that extra step, they'll just decline the ad, and then that'll be a process that we'll have to reach out to you saying that the ad was declined, and you don't want to do that. If you need help deciding on a URL, we have a helpful little link here that will link out to one of our help articles to help guide you into picking what URL you might want to use best.
Yeah, and since we're talking about Amazon, so to clarify, this is Google ads, this is Instagram, Facebook, but these aren't ads that are going to run on Amazon. Yeah.
So if you pick Facebook advertising, the ad will only run on Facebook. If you pick Google search, the ad will only appear in Google search results, but the URL can link out to anywhere you want. So if you want to link that out to your author page, if you're wanting to get more information, build an email list, that would be a good option. If you're wanting to sell directly, that's when you could send them to Amazon. You could also send them to your author page if you have the ability to purchase your book directly. But whatever, as far as the URL goes, whatever the action that you want the user to take, you should make it as easy as possible for them to do so. And so that's why I say send them directly to a link where they can buy, because assuming that you're wanting to sell your book and not just have awareness for it, that's going to be the easiest place for someone to buy your book, would be a direct landing page like Bookshop or Amazon.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, so moving on to the last step of the ad setup process is where you can set your schedule and budget. And this is another really great benefit of using Ingram ID is whatever you set your budget is what you're going to pay. There's no surprise cost. There's no sign up fee for using Ingram ID. As if anybody has ever done any digital advertising, you know that you might set a budget, but Google will spend more than that. You do not have to worry about that with Ingram ID. So to set up your ad, the only requirement that we do ask is that the ad has to run for 7 days. We just have not seen any ad effectiveness with ads that run less than 7 days. And in fact, I would say most ads should probably run for at least 14 days up to 30 to really start to get ingrained in the ad platform algorithms and start to really understand, so those ad platforms can start to understand what your ad is about and help get it in front of the right people who are going to be taking those actions. So for this one, I'm going to run it from February 1st. And then I'm going to run it for a week. So I'll run it through the 14th. That's 14 days. Over here, you can see a little summary again. It says the runtime is 14 days. And from here, you can use a little toggle to show an estimated clicks that you want per day with the corresponding ad spend per day. So like I said, we do require a minimum of a 7-day runtime. We also require a minimum of $15 a day, which is $105 is the baseline starting price for any ad. This is true for all of our ad platforms. So once again, that's Facebook, Instagram, Google Search, and Google Display. So if you were only to run this for 7 days for $15 a day, that's $105. You can see all that over here. You can see how many estimated clicks that you'd get per day, which is a really nice metric to be able to see. And you can use this toggle to spend more and you'll start to see the corresponding clicks go up as well with that. So I'm going to look at this and I think that that looks great. It's going to start on Saturday, end on Friday, run for 7 days, $20 a day, $140. So that was the Facebook ad. Another really great feature that we have recently added is Instagram as a new ad platform service. So if you get through this ad setup and you're like, actually, you know what? I want to run that on Instagram too. You can click this, run ad on Instagram. And what it will do is it will take all of that content that you've already set up and just move it over to Instagram, which is really nice. So, you can make any changes that you want here, but if not, you can continue and then you would set your schedule for that and save and return to cart. If at any time you're like, actually, I don't want that anymore, you can remove the ad platform. You can make any changes up until the point that you check out. So that is basically Facebook and Instagram. Moving on to Google, same thing. You would confirm your audiences and you would add images here. So the thing about Google Display is the main objective here is brand awareness. So Facebook and Instagram are probably the best for Facebook is probably our most overall, getting the high impressions, high clicks. With Google Display, you're going to see a lot more impressions because this is going to be served to people all across the internet who have interests in, well, it's still targeting our audiences, but it's going to be following those people where they are on the internet. So if you've ever been on a website and you see an ad that pops up on the right-hand side, that's a Google Display ad. That's where this will appear. And once again, we have a little preview over here so you can see what that looks like. So this is really image heavy. You're going to be focused less on the content of your copy and more on the ad imagery. But once again, if you're able to enter your title, you can insert your book cover here, so you don't have to have a lot of really crazy ad imagery if you don't want to. So from here, we can just modify this. This would be a very solid ad image. It has the cover, it shows the booker. This looks great. It doesn't have to be really complex to be good. For the square one, we do have that, so I'll go ahead and upload that ad image. If you have a business logo, you can go ahead and upload that there. If you don't, then that's fine as well. You can move on without it. And from here, this is where you will add your ad copy. So once again, we give you some tips through here. So Google can be really finicky. I don't know, once again, if anybody has ever worked in Google Ads before. Google Ads is definitely one of the more complex ad platforms that's out there. And one really great thing about Ingram ID is we've just taken all the basics that you need from it and really simplified it and boiled it down into the must-haves for successful advertising. So hopefully this looks a lot more simple than what you would be used to if you've ever ventured into the world of Google. So from here, we give you some tips. These would be, don't use punctuation. These are really important to follow. Google has very strict advertising policies. So if you don't do this, we have tried to put some parameters in place. So don't type like this. We've flagged that and said that it doesn't comply. However, sometimes there are some things that we've missed, or Google's all constantly updating how they run their advertising policies. So just making sure to follow these simple rules and your ad will be most likely to be approved without us having to reach out to you and say, hey, I'm so sorry, there's something wrong with your ad. So for headlines, this would just be a short blurb about your title. Minimum of one headline is required, but for best results, I would use all 5. Using more here is better because that way it helps Google learn more about what your book is about and the objective of what your ad is. And so it can start to mix and match these headlines and these descriptions to best serve the ad in places where people are more likely to click. So if you go over the 30, we do all of these requirements are what Google has as requirements. So this is not an Ingram ID. Google headlines can only be 30 characters. So, okay, so this is going to be too long. I can just say, get that out of here, add a new one. You can once again come in here and take anything from your metadata. Oops. You can shorten those. Yeah, so you get what's going on here. A long headline is usually there's just one of these. So this is where you would just maybe want to put in a description. Getting this again, once can be very simple. This can be up to 90 characters. This is 84, so that's great. And then another description. Well, actually, this would probably be a better description than a headline. So like a long headline would be by that's an example. And then you can add additional descriptions. I'm going to just add one since you get the gist of what I'm doing. If you have a business name, you can use your publisher name. You could use your author name. This is published by Grove Press. So I'll put my business name is Grove Press here. And then once again, the same thing with the link. Just can only use one link, and whenever anybody clicks anywhere on your ad, that's where they're going to go. So make sure that wherever you're sending them, if you want them to buy, I really can't reiterate it enough. Make sure you're sending somewhere where people can easily access to take the action that you want them to take. Okay. And same thing here. You can set your schedule and budget. And then we have the same toggle here where you can kind of gauge how much you want to spend per day. And then you get an estimated clicks per day as well. So for this one, I'm going to run it all of February. Continue. Here's the summary of the ad. You can go back here, see a little preview, see some examples of how that might show up on the internet. Once again, this is just one example of how it might show up. There might be different ones. You obviously added a square image, so those, that might be used at some point in time. But once you feel good about that, you can save and return to cart. And then last but not least, and this is where I think we've really simplified the process, is with our Google search ads. So Google search is even more complicated than Google display once you get into the Google world. And once again, we've tried to just taken those and really boiled it down to what exactly do you need to have a successful ad. We've created that here. So for this one, you'll need 3 headlines, and this is all required. Like, it will not let you move on or check out without the minimum requirements. So, so that's great. So once again, and the interesting thing about Google search is that this one is based on keywords. So while we do have audiences, this is probably, I would reserve this more for advanced marketers, even though we've really simplified it. Google search is heavily reliant or exclusively reliant based on the keywords that you choose, which can be difficult to navigate. So you can add lots of different headlines that you want. The more, the better. The more, that way, when people are searching for books, you can have more relevant, a more relevant return. So let's see what else we can put in here. So once again, 30 characters. So sci-fi. These are just examples. So you could go on for however long you want with those, but I would just keep those simple. And also keep in mind that when you are writing these, the Google search ads appear for people who are actively searching for certain things. So if I'm looking for the best sci-fi novel of 2024, this was a really great headline to have, because I might see that and be like, oh, that's obviously exactly what I'm looking for. So it's important to remember that when you're creating these, that people who are actively searching on Google are going to be the people who are going to see this. So it's not just going out into the internet where you have no clue where it's going to land, using really specific but also broad. Like, it's kind of like you kind of have to balance between being specific and very broad, because you want to get across that this is something that whoever is searching would be interested in. So another description. Here we go. I would say Okay. Once again, adding the link. Very important. And then we get to our keywords. So we have added some suggested keywords here based on the BISAC category that you have picked. However, I would not just add these because obviously maybe like these do not necessarily make sense for your title. So I would not, just because these are like the suggested ones, I would not say that that's what you need to add to your ad. So if you look at these and you're like, none of these make sense for me, don't worry, you can create your own keywords. Something that is really helpful is if you use keywords that are based off of your headlines. So let's go ahead and just add all of these on here. And then we do require a minimum of 20 keywords. So once again, keep in mind, this is what people are searching for. So what might someone be searching when they're looking for a new book to read? So like, so you might want to say science fiction books, which is really great. And so we've also added these. And once again, if that doesn't make sense for you, don't feel like you have to add them. You can always just click add here. Favorite books of 2024. You could just say the Harvey book. Booker Prize winners 2024 Booker Prize. So you just want to be able to have you just want to be able to say, if someone is looking for this book, if someone is looking for a new book to read, what is something that they might be searching that would help them find my book? So if you are like an independent author and maybe this is your first book, so people might not be searching for your name, that might not be a good keyword. But if you have a book, you could say, if you have a fantasy book, you could say books like Sarah J. Maas, and that would be a really great keyword for you. That doesn't really necessarily make sense for this book, but you get the sense of what I'm talking about for keywords like that. You want to be broad, but you don't want to be too broad that like if science fiction is maybe too broad of a keyword because someone looking up science fiction might be looking up anything else. Or if someone is talking about, let's see, what's the other one? Space exploration. Maybe space exploration books, books about space exploration, fiction books about space. Those are going to be more likely to be powerful keywords than just space exploration because they could be talking about wanting to, if you're Googling space exploration, that's very, very broad and we kind of want to bring it in back to the books. So this is where kind of, then you can add, and then, so I'm going to go back. Okay. And then same exact thing here. I know I don't have all the keywords ready, but you get the gist of what is happening. Again, you can set your schedule and budget, and then you can continue. For this one, I'm just going to save and finish later since I did not set up all of the keywords, but it would fill out the exact same here. So once you have completed all of your ad setup, you can go ahead and you can see everything here. If you're like, this is actually more than I thought it would be, go ahead, you can remove it. If you wanted to add another ad platform, which the only one we didn't do today is the promotional email, you can add more there. And from there, you will proceed to checkout, and you'll get an email once you've checked out letting you know that your ad has been submitted for approval, that your campaign has been submitted for approval, and then you'll continue to get emails saying your ad was approved, your ad is live, etc. So once you have campaigns that are live, I'm going to show you what it looks like in our reporting dashboard. But before I move on, was there any other questions about ad setup?
Yes, lots of amazing questions. So thank you.
Okay, great.
All right. So people are wondering, a lot of these questions are about the pricing. So I want to ask some of those. So they're wondering, how does the cost compare? If someone goes directly with Facebook or Instagram, is there any difference in the pricing when they go through Ingram ID?
No. So what you pay is what you're going to pay for your ad. And then as you can see, so this is kind of what a campaign dashboard looks like. Because this is an ad setup now, you're not going to see anything, but you can see, I'll show you here. So, for example, this is a campaign page for an ad that has, or a campaign that has completed, and you can see the cost per click, the click-through rate, um, for each of the individual ads in the campaign. So, and this is what you've paid for your ad. So we have all of these. It takes about 24 to 48 hours for the data to come through to our dashboards, but once it is, it's updated every 6 hours, so you can see what it is spending. And as the campaign goes for longer, and this is why I recommend running it for more than 7 days, you do typically see that to go down. So the initial phase of running, it goes through like a learning phase where Facebook or Google is trying to understand what the objective of your ad is. So it might spend a little bit more, might spend a little bit less. Or the CPC, they're trying to figure it out. And so once it kind of catches that groove, once people start interacting with your ad and clicking with it, then Facebook is like, okay, so we're moving, instead of this whole group, we're going to narrow it down even more. And they start to target people who are even more likely to click and interact with your ad. And so typically you do get to see that cost per click go down over the day, but this is just as a whole. But yeah, no, there's,
So people are then wondering for the estimated clicks per day, is that the estimated number of clicks like on the buy now button, or is
it
it
is link clicks. So that's another really great thing about Ingram ID, is that we are talking about people who click on your ad and go to the URL.
okay? Yeah, because
So it's a lot of metrics. The industry standard is actually not link clicks. It's just clicks overall, which is kind of what I call a vanity metric. It's like, oh, look, I got hundreds of clicks, but mostly people were just like clicking, and that meant that they were looking at the image or they went to your author page. These are clicks that people are using, and they're going to the URL that you provided.
and every time someone clicks that link, then that you're charged for that. Like what are you charged?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah. So if you basically, the way that it works is you're charged to host it. So if nobody clicks your link and you're paying $15, then you don't get charged for that. But if people start to see your ad, sometimes you're charged also by how many people see it. But the way that we are presenting the data in the most useful, in my opinion, and the best way is by the link click, because that's really what you want. I mean, some people want impressions, which is great. And I think that brand awareness is really, really important when it comes to that. But I think at the end of, and you could obviously do the math if you wanted to, if you were like, okay, $280 divided by this many impressions, you could get the cost per impression as well. But the data that we have found in asking around and asking publishers and authors, people are most interested in that cost per click.
And people are saying if you use Ingram Share and Sell, should they use the buy now link?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a share and sell. If you're a Spark user and you have a share and sell link, I think that is a great one. That's a great URL to use because it's a direct call to action, and you're going to also probably see a higher margin than if you were to send it to an Amazon. But something that you could also do is run two tests at the same time. So, and have one of them be a share and sell link, and one of them be an Amazon link, and then you can kind of it's like kind of like a makeshift A/B test to see which URL performs higher.
Okay. And some people regarding the clicks, can you also explain like, so CPM versus CPC, and then what are you getting charged for? What do those terms mean?
So you're just charged up front. So you're not actually charged per click. So if you, so what you pay when you check out is what you're going to pay. So we're not actually charging you. So if you end up getting, if we say you're expected to get 5 to 20 clicks a day and you end up getting 100 clicks, then congratulations. Your ad is performing extremely well. You're not charged. You pay for the ad up front, and then we kind of share those results based off of what you've already paid, not what it's not, you're not getting charged that every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and there, people are wondering for the links, like, is there tracking for the links? So this particular like, link was clicked from the Amazon ad, or this particular link was clicked from the Facebook ad.
Yeah. So that is actually, unfortunately, once it leaves our platform, we lose visibility of it. So what I would recommend is setting up UTM links on your own.
Okay.
And you can do that. I think Amazon easily allows you to see that, or if you just want to run so if you want to run a campaign on Facebook for 2 weeks and then run one on Google for 2 weeks, then you would just look at your back end data and say, okay, these 2 weeks I saw 150 people to my website, and then the next 2 weeks I saw only 100. So maybe those first 2 weeks with Facebook was more beneficial than the second 2 weeks with Google. So unfortunately, we do not have access to everyone's URLs and all of their backend data, so we can't keep track of that. But I definitely highly recommend that that's something that you do. And if you are sending people to a page that you own, like your author page, then you can set up your own UTM links with Google. I think if you just like type in create Google UTM links, you can create that all on your own. And then on your back end of your own Google Analytics, that's something that you can track and see, okay, this came from Facebook, this came from Google, but that's something that you would have to create. That's something that you have to create yourself. And I would actually highly encourage, if you're looking for that kind of in-depth data, then that's something I would definitely encourage you to do.
Thank you. And some people are wondering, when you were picking some of the keywords and things like that, like, I know that it seems like Ingram ID helps people understand what they can and cannot do. So people are just wondering, like, in terms of the restrictions on the ads, in terms of topics, keywords, what can be advertised, like, how much do you all like let people know in advance, what's possible?
Yeah. So unfortunately, well, fortunately or unfortunately, I guess it's neither or, we are beholden to the advertising platform's policies. So if for some reason, for example, last year was an election year, advertising platforms get really strict on advertising politics and such. Books about politics or books about religion, anything around that, there's just, it can be very hit or miss. So if you have kind of what I quote sensitive titles, that is something that unfortunately we just can't know until it goes out there. So we do require, when you're setting up a campaign, you'll see that you have to start it within 3 days. So if you create, that's one. And one of the reasons why you can't just create a campaign today and have it start tomorrow is because we have to allow enough time for Google and Facebook, or Google and Meta, to review the ad and approve it. And so if for some reason your ad was not approved, then we have our internal team. We can go in and check it, and we can say, okay, well, it'll tell us it was flagged because of politics. And so we can take a look at your ad and say, this ad is probably, we can request an appeal. But if Google or Meta does not approve that appeal, then there's really only so much we can do. But it doesn't hurt to try. But and it's important to be aware of their policies. So we do have a link. I think we have I mean, you can just Google like Google ad policies or like Google restrictions or Facebook ad restrictions and find out if your title will or may not be. Meta is actually currently, it seems like they're easing up on some of their restrictions. So that's good. Google is definitely the more strict of the two platforms. Uh, but with search ads, you can do anything because that's what people are searching for. So if you have a book about politics that could be considered controversial, then a Google search ad might be a good place for you because they're not going to restrict your advertisement because that's just depending on what people are searching for on the internet.
Thank you. Yeah. And I know that you're going to get to this in a bit, but just since we're talking about money, specifically the benefit for IBPA members is a 10% discount on the pricing. So the price that you just showed that it would cost, members would have gotten 10% off that. So it was like $900. So that's a significant savings, especially higher and higher that you are spending money. So people are asking it's about the targeting of the people that you're doing.
Sure.
And I know that, for example, one of the reasons why they might want to go directly through Ingram ID instead of through Facebook or Google and all that is aren't you all creating like more targeted lists of people rather than if they were just to go directly? Um,
Correct.
yeah, go ahead. You can talk about.
So Meta and even Google actually recently, I mean, they're always changing. These ad platforms are changing constantly. Platforms are going away, platforms are coming into. So one thing that has recently changed, especially in the Meta platform, is their ad targeting. And so what we've done is this goes back to our our websites that we've created here, and we are gathering their what they're interested on these sites. So each of our pages is tagged with BISACs. So if they've interacted with Orbital on one of our pages, then they fall under our science fiction category. Or if they are reading a thriller, then they go into our thriller audience. And so that is one thing that's really unique is that we have really specific targeted people who are interested in books and have interacted with our content within the last 180 days. So we have 4 million subscribers. We're not emailing 400 million or 4 million subscribers. For these audiences, they are actively interested in the genre of that category within the last 180 days. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of who might be interested in this title, and you know that they have interacted with a book or an article or an email of that genre within the last 6 months.
Great. And so regarding the some of the, I mean, tons of really great questions. So thank you, everyone. I want to make sure, hopefully, we can get to them. So people are wondering, in terms of the time frame of these ads, I know you were saying that longer is better than shorter. They're just wondering, just so you can figure out which is the right one for you. Should you do like 2 weeks on Facebook first, and if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
like.
So a really great feature that we have, which is something that I was going to show, is that we have a extend feature. So right here, this is a campaign that has ended, and so it has restart. But if you are started, you can always start with 2 weeks. And if you're like, this ad is performing really well, you can always continue to extend that ad for as long as you want. So this one is showing restart. But for example, here, if this was a live campaign, it would say extend, and it would just say select your new end date, and then you can just continue to run that ad for as long as you want. So you could keep doing it little by little. And if your campaign is actually exceeding campaign expectations, we'll send you an email and saying, hey, your campaign is doing better or meeting what we said it was going to do, which is those clicks that you expected at checkout. And it will give you a prompt to say, hey, consider extending your campaign today. Or if you decide to let the campaign lapse, you can always restart that exact same campaign, which is really great because it'll take that same data and just keep using it. So you don't have to completely restart. However, if you wanted to, if you were like, this was a good ad, but I'd really be interested to see what it would do if I was sending it to my author page instead of Bookshop, you can always duplicate it and change the link. So if you wanted to duplicate it, it would just come as a duplicate, or you can rename it. And then you can go in here, you can change the content, and you can change the link that you want to do and check out and run it again.
Awesome. And some people are wondering, just to be clear, so for all of our benefits on the page, there's a section that says, how do you access this benefit? And when you click in there, it tells you. So for this one, you need to set up your Ingram ID account, explains how you can do that. And then there is a promo code. So Taylor, when they're in here, I'm assuming it says, there's a place during the checkout that they click,
Yep,
put in promo code.
correct. So promo code here.
Okay, so we're not going to reveal the promo code here because this is open to everyone. There are non-members on here as well. But go to the page and you'll find that code. So people are wondering when you choose your audiences. So let's say you choose more than one.
Sure.
Does the campaign target every person in each audience, or if it's two different audiences, does it do the smaller group of people that are in just both?
It broadens it. So if there's 100,000 people, if you're targeting a fiction classics, and if you're in a fictions thriller and one has 300,000 and one has 100,000, then you're going to end up targeting 400,000 people.
And
And from there, that's when Facebook takes all of those people and then they start to learn, like, okay, these are people who are interested, and that's where the joy of these algorithms come into place. Is it really, and that's the benefit of running your ad for longer, is it gives the algorithm more time to say, okay, you targeted a lot of people, 400,000 people, we're going to try to make it. And that's part of the reason why you don't want to target too many people, because you still want the bucket to be like targetable, but you don't want it to be so small that it's not going to reach anybody, but you don't want it to be so big to where it's like there's just a bunch of question marks, like we're like, well, we don't really actually know who you're interested in, and that takes it longer for the ad to become effective.
all right, so people are wondering in terms of the categories, does the audience have to necessarily match the book genre? Some people are wondering if they can get creative, if they're like, whatever, they do a book about government policy, but they think that it might appeal to people that read thrillers.
Yeah, you can target whoever you want. If you think that, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of, you can, we don't necessarily, it's not like if you take the BISAC category, it's not like we're like, oh, you're restricted from advertising to these people. You can advertise to whoever you want to. I would just recommend, because we actually had one publisher who ran a campaign with us, and they're like, we really have it was like a thriller historical fiction. They were like, we have a good hold on the historical fiction audience. Like, this was a historical fiction author who was kind of venturing into thrillers. And so she was like, I know that I can target my historical fiction people and they're going to be interested in this. What I need is to be able to reach new thriller readers. So instead of targeting, she was like, I got the historical fiction stuff, I want to try to reach new people. And so that was like a really good opportunity to kind of go beyond the scope of what that author was who that author was normally targeting, and to venture into some new, potentially new eyes in, reaching people, new people.
Mhm. In terms of the limiting of the ads and the control people have, can they control geographically where the ads go? For example, they only want them to go in the US.
So no, the ads right now, it's very simplified version. We are only targeting US based audiences. That is true. But as far as being able to target demographics deeper than that, not at this time.
Okay. Okay. And then they're wondering when you click the button to do the ad, is it available through like how quickly does the ad go live?
3 days. So you'll get email notifications about it. So this one, if I wanted to change the date, I could start it. I can start it as soon as, I guess, Friday. So, and like I kind of said, is we built in these ad start times so that Facebook has enough time, or the ad platforms have enough time to review it. Oops, I don't know why I gave that thumbs up. The ad platforms have enough time to review it and approve it. And if there was some sort of issue with the ad, we have enough time to reach out to you and say, hey, there's an issue with X, Y, or Z. Um, and so, and as you can kind of see, I'll show back to this one again. You'll see the campaign notifications. So we send emails, and then we also have notifications that appear for each campaign. So you'll get an email when your ad is complete, once it's live, once it's been scheduled and approved. So we update you throughout the whole process. And you can always log into your Ingram ID account and check that as well. But we also send corresponding emails regarding the status of your campaign.
Okay. And some people are wondering, so if they went directly through Facebook and or Google or whatever, or they go directly through you were mentioning it's the same price. So they're like, well, how is Ingram making money if y'all are charging the same amount?
Yeah, so we buy our ads in bulk, and so we just take whatever the difference is of what we don't end up spending on for the clicks.
Okay. So it's because you're such a big company, you're able to do
Yeah, because we are placing so many ads. Yeah.
Okay. And then you know how like you were saying about the price when people are picking it's because it's not per click, then they're wondering like, how is that upfront cost determined? For example, like, is it the amount of audience, different audiences?
Yeah, so it's not based on the audiences at all. So you could target 60,000 people and it would be the same price as if you were targeting 100,000 people or 300,000 people. What we've done for the pricing is we've taken what industry average click-through rates are and what our CPC averages are through ads run through Ingram ID, and we've kind of like done the math into what those expectations should be.
Okay. I know we're running over a little bit. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Are you okay? We do have some
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. So people are wanting, you can extend an ad, but let's say your ad's doing terribly. Like, can you end it early?
No, not at this time, because we charge up front.
Mhm.
That gets kind of messy in terms of like having to issue refunds. So that's why I do suggest starting. That's why you can start at 7 days. And I would never end an ad before 7 days, because even if an ad is doing terrible on day 3, might really pick up. Like, you just kind of sometimes have to see it through. Um, and so, no, we do not allow, you cannot cancel an ad once it's live. So that's why that extend and restart feature are really nice, because you can kind of have a sample size and then kind of continue to scale from there.
Okay, very cool. And then in terms of the analytics, people are wondering like, like whatever your original audience was, does it show you originally targeted whatever 100,000 people, and then out of that, 300 people clicked on it or something?
Um, yes, kind of. So this is what it looks like, a completed campaign. So this is what the campaign dashboard looks like. If this ad was live, it would show that it was live, and this would be updated kind of in real time. And you can see the breakdown by the ad platform. So for this campaign, for example, we ran an Instagram and a Facebook promoted ad, and you can see the breakdown of impression. Like, this is the total campaign performance, and then it can get we go down even one more level into each individual ad. So for this, for example, you can click into it and you can see this is when the ad ran, here's the daily budget, here's how many clicks we said, here's the impressions, here's all of that campaign data. Another example, here's like a preview of what the ad looked like, here's the audience you selected. So we do kind of break it down like that, but we don't say necessarily the fantasy audience was 1,000 impressions and the women's fiction was another 1,000. It doesn't break down Facebook doesn't even really break it down that much. That's not data that we can even really pull.
Okay. And then people are wondering, like, they see how their ads did, they're kind of wondering, like, well, what are their comparable other authors or publishers that are, can they see somewhere, like in general, like how well ads, are doing for sci-fi or whatever?
We don't have that data available. What we do have is there in our help articles, there's an article about CPCs and how to view your campaign results. And from there, you can kind of see, like, this is the industry average cost per click. This is the industry average click-through rate. So this actually is a really great performing ad. Like, you might see 5% and you're like, that's horrible. But the industry average for for Instagram ads is 0.9%. So it's like this ad actually performed quite well. So that is important to keep in mind when you're reviewing your metrics. And that's something, and we have, this is once again our library of resources that we have. So we have a whole section here on whole section, understanding your ad performance, understanding what a click-through rate is, and then we break it down of here's average click-through rates and cost per click per each platform that we advertise on. So this is a good resource to be able to refer back to when you're reviewing your ad performance.
Fantastic.
But also this whole help section is a really great resource for really any questions that you might have regarding best practices. We put a lot of that in here. We have best for all of our content restrictions. So anything that you have a question about, we've really tried to answer preemptively in this help section.
And that's where right over there, I see it says help. So you just click
Yep.
when you're in your thing. Okay. And then people are wondering, can you schedule ads in advance? Like, let's say, like, I want to schedule an ad for a week from now, 2 weeks.
Yep.
Like, how does that work?
Yep. You can schedule. I mean, I don't even think there's any restrictions on how far in advance you can schedule. So if you're really looking at your like marketing calendar, or you're looking at a budget and you're saying, okay, I have, $1,000 for Q1. I'm going to run this in January, this in February, this in March. You can schedule those at one time. Yeah. They just won't run obviously until they're ready, but you can schedule out in advance for sure. We've had people who were scheduling last year already into March. So.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure to ask two more important questions. One,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about the newsletter ones. I just want to make sure we talk about Google. So is there anything you want to add about those?
Yeah, the newsletter campaigns I can show, actually, let me go back to here. I can edit services. And if I wanted to add it, I'll just show kind of what it looks like for anybody who might be interested in this. Now, these do come with a higher price point. So what these are promotional emails that are sent to a really targeted audience of readers. So this one would go to a section of, around estimated 60,000 science fiction readers. And we are working on getting more of our 2025 calendar up. So hopefully that would be, so for people interested in scheduling in advance, and people who are interested in these emails probably are interested in scheduling in advance. We are working with our content team to get the rest of the 2025 calendar up to date, but you can see the dates that are available. So right now, for each of the 7 email audiences that we have available, there's 1 email send per month right now. So if you were looking, all right, I want to schedule this in March, this is going to be $2,500. So this one is based a little bit more on the reach, the audience size, rather than the clicks. Just by the nature of email marketing, we cannot guarantee clicks or open rates. We can't really guarantee clicks or open rates or like clicks or impressions for our social ads either. But with email marketing, it's kind of a whole different set of data points that you're looking at. But anyways, so these definitely come at a little bit of a higher price point, but they are a lot more targeted to our actual email subscribers. So this email will go to people who are subscribed to one of our newsletters and that they are interested in that category. So like I said, this one's going to go to about 60,000 people. And this is just kind of a pretty simplified, you can just set up that email here if you want, and you can add up to 5 titles. So for example, if you are a publisher and you have like a spring reading list, this is a really great opportunity to be able to advertise 5 titles at what up to 5 titles at one time. So you create your own subject line. We kind of give you some helpful hints and tips along the way to be able to make sure that your content stands out, so that you do get those high open rates, you get those clicks. And then you'll see kind of a preview here. You can change anything that you want. So you could add the book description. I mean, you can add anything you want. You can add, this is not exactly what you want necessarily, but you can, if you have add imagery, if you're a publisher, you can add that here. I would not use this because of this black space. That doesn't look good. But I did not prepare graphics for something like this right now. But you could add your own header image. That header image you can add a link to, and then you can add your title. You can add editorial. You can add some copy down here where you can see this. There's some basic formatting here. Here you can add more links. So if for some reason you were wanting to link out to Obama's favorite book list, which once again, I would not add links that you are not directing either people back to your author page or to buy, but you can do whatever you want. This is your email. Then you can also add, once again, another image down here. It'll add its own link. So this is a really great, so it's just saying it's too big. But this is the gist of it, is that you can kind of create your own. You can add another title if you want.
Yeah, and just to clear it up for everyone, so you all have created these lists of readers, and these are targeted e-blast newsletters that go out to these lists of readers.
Correct.
Yeah.
So these are curated, and these are, once again, people who have been engaged with us in the last 180 days. So we're not sending these out to people who, who subscribed to us once 5 years ago and haven't opened an email in the last 4 years. These are people who are actively engaged with our newsletters right now.
Yeah, and so this is in addition to the Facebook, Google, and Instagram advertising. You also get a 10% discount as an IBPA member of these. And then they're wondering if you have results for these. So
Yeah.
like a metrics page like you do.
So right now, we will send you, this will still go through Ingram ID, but then we also will send you another email. And Aaron, you might be able to speak better to this. But yeah, you'll get open rates, you'll get the click rate. You'll be able to get the metrics of this 2 weeks after that email has sent.
I'm going to step in real quick. Taylor, you are correct. This is one where the reporting will be delivered by one of our sales team 2 weeks after, which is pretty standard timing for eBlast, to let all of the opens and impressions sort of accrue before we send out. But with the promotional newsletters, that's one where it's a little more direct from our sales team.
Fantastic. One last question. I know you are already gone over 20 minutes. I'm so grateful to it. Can people advertise? We have publishers who have not just books, but products like a doll connected to their book. Can they use this advertising for that as well? Those types of things?
Totally. So if you have a situation like that where you want to advertise a product rather than a book, and once again, I would just put insert book information manually. It might not even be a book, but you can target any of our audiences the exact same way. You'll just put in all the content that you want. So if you have like a calendar or something that you're wanting to advertise, you can just, and there's not an ISBN associated for it or any other product. If you want to advertise like a live event or something that you're doing, you can just click the book information manually and you can fill out all your own content however you want. This is a platform that is as much as you want it to, much or as little as you want it to be. So the real benefit, as Christopher's mentioned a couple times here, is that you have the access to our audiences. So if you're wanting to advertise to a nonfiction audience about something, but it's not a book, then that's totally fine. Just create your copy and it'll still go out to those people.
Well, we are very excited. I know our members have asked a lot of questions about Ingram ID ever since we announced it. Thank you so much, Taylor, Aaron, for helping us understand how it all works. I'm sure some people still have more questions, so they can, of course, reach out to your team. But thank you for the 10% discount to our members. Really very, very cool. This is going to help a lot of people get the word out there on very big name platforms. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. If you have any questions, yeah, you can sign up. I think for IBPA members, there is a specific registration page. So go ahead and sign up through there. And if you have any questions, you can go to this contact us page, and we have a team dedicated to answering these forms, any questions, and we'd be happy to be able to get you started or answer any outstanding questions that I didn't get to today. And once again, I'd like to reiterate that this help section 2 has a really great handful of resources that we've identified as well. So if you want to take a look at that, and if you're still having some outstanding questions, then happy to be able to answer those at any time.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming and for being members. We really very much appreciate it. Awesome. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.